What's going on, everybody? In this video I'm going to give you some tips for defending against drive impact when you are in Burnout. So mid-screen, you mainly want to be careful with when you throw out your buttons because your opponent could use a drive impact and punish counter you at any point. Also, especially be careful with canceling your buttons into specials. That will make you even more vulnerable. What you can do is preemptively buffer a super input every time you do a super cancelable poke, so that when you see a drive impact, you can cancel into super if you need to. In the corner, drive impact is even scarier to deal with because if you block it at any point, then you will get stunned. Now, if you play with modern controls, of course you can use your instant supers, like you can use a defensive drive impact against your opponent's drive impact. Now, I play with classic controls, and for me it is very difficult to react to a drive impact, then do a very fast super input and still get my super out before the drive impact hits me. So if you're slow at doing super inputs like me, you will unfortunately have to preemptively do the double Kurosoko 4 input before you even react to the drive impact. The only thing that you then have to do is just press the punch or kick button once you see the drive impact. So the problem with this is that you will need to already guess preemptively when a drive impact might come out. However, even though this might be a little bit tedious to do, what you can do is you can always basically mash a double Kurosoko 4 input in specific situations where you're safe to do it. So one of those situations is when you're waking up off the ground. So as you're waking up off the ground, you can do a preemptive double Kurosoko 4 input in case the opponent tries to hit you with a meaty drive impact. Another common situation is when the opponent does a heavy attack. So whenever you see and block a heavy attack, you can preemptively do the double Kurosoko 4 input, and if the opponent cancels into drive impact, then you do your super. You can do the same thing with target combos. However, this is much harder to do when the opponent does a light attack or a medium attack because they're much faster, so it might be harder to react in time. So against drive impact after light or medium attacks, or when they just do it raw, you can react to drive impact and interrupt it with a throw. A throw is 5 frames, so it's the fastest meterless way to react to drive impact with most characters. However, if you block one of these moves listed right here, if they are cancelled into drive impact, you cannot throw them because the gap is too small. Also, against a raw, very spaced drive impact, you can't throw either because your throw will simply not reach the opponent. So in this case, you will have to jump either on reaction or preemptively, which is harder to do because a jump usually takes longer than your throw. So all of these things are easier said than done, of course, but I mean, if they were easy to do, then drive impact would obviously suck. So to recap, always be on the lookout for drive impact and be ready to throw it at any point. And whenever you block target combos or heavy attacks or you get up off the ground, preemptively buffer your super input, whether it's a double Kurosoko 4 input or anything else. In checkmate situations where you don't have any super available and you're gonna die if you get stunned, honestly the best thing you can do is mash on throw or your full frame and hope that your opponent mistimes their meaty drive impact or their button into drive impact. And even if they time their button into drive impact properly, they may end up comboing into the drive impact because they got a counter hit, and that will not stun you yet, which means you may not die yet, and you may get all your drive meter back in time to defend properly. So the better you are at defending against drive impact, the calmer and more confident you will be when you are in Burnout. So I hope you learned something from this video and keep practicing.